Welcome, bienvenidos. You are so brave. That is your characteristic. So I developed this podcast for you, Coaching the Brave podcast with Giovanna Chase, where we talk about all things positive and the power of coaching in the military community. Enjoy. Today, January 13th to February 17th, this series will take about 6 weeks. I'll be sharing with you what coaching is and what it isn't, the core concepts of coaching, and provide some personal experiences along the way. This series is for you if you enjoy learning new things overall, if you may be interested in a coaching career in the future or currently, and if you're genuinely curious about behavior change and positive psychology in your life and how you can change some aspects. Thank you so much. Enjoy. Okay, so we are back with week 4, series episode number 3 of 6. How has everybody been? How are you enjoying this podcast of all the information that is beneficial for the military community when it comes to coaching? I'm so thankful that you have been loyal here with me. Thank you so much. And, we're talking about a lot of deep stuff, and we haven't even gotten to like the deep part of it. Last week, what we talked about was the expectations and responsibilities of the client and the coach, active listening and presence of the coach, and coach's intuition. So, how fun was that for you? And was there something that really stuck out to you as far as have you heard it before? Write it down in the comments, message me. I'm so open to talking with you, obviously, because I couldn't stay quiet any longer. That's why I developed this podcast to share with the world how coaching can positively affect the people. And, if you did and you found something very helpful, I invite you to reflect on that and to invite someone that you feel really might need that word, that feeling, that hope, something that is there for them. Today we're kind of going to be talking about how to build rapport and trust with, the client, because ultimately when a client comes to a coach, they really don't know who the coach is. The coach doesn't know who the client is. And so you're building a brand new relationship within 30 minutes. And you have to have the skills and the knowledge to build a trusting environment. Of course, it's always going to be safe because that is what our ethics are. But to be able to build that relationship with someone is very tough for some people. We're going to get into that today. We all know of someone, or we all know someone who may need a little boost in their winter season. So be there for someone that you know is struggling with mental health, with the winter blues, deployment blues, with any type of blues, baby blues. So be there for someone, lend a loving hand, watch someone's kids for them as they take a nap or something. So we're all in community here, and we want to make sure that we all have each other's backs, okay? If you are someone who is suffering from those blues, there is definitely a lot of resources out there. 988 is the new suicide prevention line. That's so great. That has come out or July of last year, 2022. So take advantage of that. And then Military One Source always has counselors, non-clinical counselors on call, as well as MFLAC. Your unit should have an MFLAC for veterans and spouses and dependents and all that. You should have that as well available and accessible to you on a military installation. And of course, there are self referrals. So you can go see a professional. And BetterHelp is also a nice virtual clinical mental health resource for you. Today, we'll be discussing client coach trust and rapport building, client energy, and how to obtain energy when it seems like every day you're waking up tired. Because let's face it, we all wake up tired. Why? Right? Obviously, there's some reasons. We won't get into those little reasons, but we will get into how to boost that energy mentally. So that's going to be fun. All right. So last week I explained that when a client has a coach who is present, mindful, and who shows that they are actively engaging with the client within the session, this harnesses a compassionate, safe environment for the client so that the client feels that they are able to then share a little bit more vulnerability with the coach and therefore gaining access to a better foundation, a stronger foundation, so that the client can get more out of coaching. Well, guess what? This concept also goes hand in hand with building trust and rapport. So, who and what types of coaches and clients are best at this and which ones aren't? The best coaches at building rapport are those who are grounded 80% of the time of their life. Like 80% of their life is grounded. They have gone through the struggles already and they have gone through the steps and therapies and coaching of themselves as well as coaching from others. So they have experience in what a struggle type is. No one goes through the same struggle. They could go through similar struggles, but no one is going to go through the same exact thing. And so the coach that has gone through the work themselves is going to be the best coach that helps with this rapport building and trust building just because there is relatability is just the basics of what really truly means to build rapport with a client. When you think about a coach who has gone through a lot and who has now been able to accomplish many things after that, that they are grounded, they are consistently getting more education on top of their education to consistently have knowledge in the field. It is a growing field, and so you want a coach who is consistent with that knowledge. You also want to have a coach who themselves have a coach because we as coaches need to be able to decompress after hearing so many people and having them go through what they're going through and then have that success at the end, right? So we want to be able to have that type of centering ourselves. If you have a coach that does not get coached themselves, you might have a little bit of instability there. So you definitely don't want that. I did say the best and the ones who aren't the best, I'm not going to say the worst, but the ones who still try and who still have the intention of being one of the best ones. Um, but sometimes your situation and your environment alter your purest intention. And so there are some coaches that are still brand new in their certification and they don't quite have the belief in themselves yet. So they are going through their imposter syndrome, which they have the knowledge. It's just not built up with that firmity yet. The new coaches are a bit iffy. That's okay though, because they're the best with their vulnerability as well. Some of the more experienced coaches can get a little cocky, you know what I mean? And that's not a bad thing either, so long as they are able to be in that grounding state. They can admit when they have learned something new or made a mistake. Let's see. Coaches who become certified through their work who may not exactly be as committed as someone who has had a life changing event that has led them to coaching. See, sometimes our careers and our higher ups decide, hey, you are a nutritionist. Well, we want you to also be a health coach. So go get your health coach certification, and then you'll know how to play a role in speaking with your patients in a way that is more effective versus telling them what to do. So sometimes in a more clinical setting, rapport building is harder to get at because you only have about 15 to 30 minutes with a patient versus a personal one-on-one coaching session where you might have 45 minutes to an hour with that person in the initial call. And so you do build up better rapport with a person more in a longer setting. A coach who is not in the right facility for them where they don't feel fulfilled. I talk about this with my clients a lot, especially those who are looking to start a new career or spouses who want to enter the workforce. We talk about intentions a lot and talk about manifesting the environment in which they would like to work in because we don't realize that when we become professionals, there's a level of respect that you yourself need from others, and there is a level of honor and ethics that you present in that environment of work. And so when you just say, "Oh, I'm a health coach now," and then you just join in to any health coach job that's a corporate job, and you didn't really realize that maybe the environment was a little toxic, or maybe they are a startup, or the money's not exactly there for what you need for your family, and then it becomes a sticky situation, and then you're coaching blind and you're going with the motions of the day. We definitely want to make sure that your coach is in the right environment. It's kind of like a plant or like a cold-blooded pet. You want to make sure that they are in the best environment possible outside of their habitat just because they won't thrive if they're not. It's just like that. If we are in the right environment, working with the right people and a supportive community within the employment, wherever that might be, then that coach is going to thrive and it's going to give you the best possible care and attention that you need. So think about that too. If you are looking for a coach, you can also interview. That is what the free consultation is about. It's about you figuring out what's best for you and the coach telling you what their program is, but also walking you through in a way that will reflect what that relationship will look like within the program. I hope this is helping for you if you are considering coaching because it's really important to weigh these options out. Now, the people who go into coaching kind of blind and don't ask these kinds of questions or don't pay attention to these types of red flags or white flags or certainties, they are usually people who goes into a coaching program thinking they're going to be told what to do or be given some type of action plan to follow. And so they go in and they're like, "Cool, I'm not going to share anything about my life, but I do need to lose weight and I do want to start going to the gym. So tell me what I got to do." Those kinds of those types of attitudes going into a program is going to reflect badly on that rapport because what do? We don't tell you what to do as coaches, right? No, we don't. We shouldn't. Unless, of course, you're entering a program that the coach has specified, hey, this is what we're going to do in this program, and this is what you're going to get out of it. Then that's different. But that's already going to a different level. That's not initial coaching. And then a person who joins just for insurance points and furthermore doesn't exactly commit, they just want the points. Okay, they're not really going to be able to be open to a relationship with a coach if they're just wanting points and incentives for work. They're just going to go with the motions, right? They're not in their proper environment. Clients who are still in pre contemplation and contemplation. If you remember the second episode, then you will know what I'm talking about. And if you haven't listened to it yet, I encourage you to go listen to it. Bridges that gap that maybe you might be missing. So it's not a bad thing to be these best and not so bests. It just determines where the client is and where the coach is in their journey. What is rapport? Rapport is a true, authentic relationship with someone. It's like a strong bond where the client has confidence to be themselves and trust the coach, and where the coach puts him or herself in the client's situation and truly is all in. Depending on if we are on a phone call or an online virtual face to face call, I like to ask opening questions. So, this is the way that I present rapport not only in a professional setting, but also outside when I'm talking with other people. My bosses have personally said that, yeah, the bond that you have with your clients is uncanny. It's really something that I like to explain because a lot of us don't understand what that means, especially nowadays when the world is just moving way too fast and we don't really have a chance to sit and talk with people. So I want to share the way that I do things with you, if I may. The way that I approach the situation again is if we are on the phone or depending on whether we are virtual, I like to ask opening questions about why that client chose to undergo coaching and what they want to change. And then I go into my story, explaining who I am, what I've gone through, what I've been able to accomplish, what I'm doing now, and how I can help them. Then I ask them a genuinely fun question just to like break the ice a little to make it less professional and make it, personable. I also make sure to laugh a little bit. And while they are continuing to talk, I will mimic their hand movements, their facial expressions, their tone of voice, their influxes in their voice, and then, you know, sometimes their behaviors. Now, you can call me a chameleon, as they call most military children who grew up in the military, or you can call this technique neuro linguistic programming. NLP is an approach that focuses on the way in which people verbally and behaviorally communicate with themselves or with others. This, in turn, helps to aid in behavioral change, personal and professional success in achieving goals. And that is ultimately the success, right? In coaching, that's what we want is to help that person go from where they are to where they want to be. I'm going to say it again and again and again and again. They're implementing behaviors that served them in the past, but has made them kind of stuck and not been able to achieve those successes. That is what we're doing is helping them achieve that success, that goal achievement now. Have you ever experienced achieving goals in a sustainable way and actually changing behaviors? You may have, and you might not know. But others, yes, you may know right off the bat and have this beautiful testimony about it. So please share it. I invite you to. But for those of you who haven't, can you, in some aspect in your brain, make some space to just imagine that energy that comes from the results of experiencing this type of behavior change? If you can't, I'll put it into context like this. If you have ever had a pet or even a child, for those of you who aren't exactly human parents yet, um, think about it as you're raising this child or this pet, and you have noticed that you haven't really bought all the toys. In this day and age, we buy all the toys first, we buy all the clothes, we buy all the necessities, right? And I air quote necessities because oftentimes it's just way too much. Well, when we finally realize that, hey, it's just way too much, we come to this realization that this child or this animal, this creature has a personality of their own. And when we see that, we become intrigued. And then we start to listen to this thing, this creature, this living embodiment of a soul, has needs and wants, and they express it in their own way. A dog might actually scratch at the door and say, I need to go out, like cry a little bit. Or a baby might try to like nod his head left and right because they are hungry, they want milk, or pat at the mom or the dad's chest to say, hey, give me some food. Or they might cry because they have a dirty diaper. So these are things that build rapport over time. And guess what? They also build trust within that creature, that person. That dog knows that you are going to open the door so he can go out, or she. And that baby knows that when he cries, he's going to be clean, or she. Okay, so imagine just being able to walk because you have a clean diaper. Going down to very, very basic. You're able to walk now because you have a trusting environment. That person who you look up to, who cleans your diaper, is there to hold your hand too. Okay. So a coaching relationship is not just a coaching relationship, it's also like a nurturing parent, a caregiver. And you would be surprised how often people need that. They don't have that. But imagine being on the other side of that, being the client and experiencing that behavior change, that they were able to compassionately and lovingly leave the old behavior because it once served them before and now it doesn't, to leave it, to be able to say, I don't need you anymore, but thank you. I'm going to move on to this behavior now because I need this in my life now. To be able to have that connection in the brain, those sparks that happen, and that energy. I'm telling you, there's a hormonal energy that's happening there. The dopamine is starting to come up, right? And so this helps me move on to client energy. Those hormone changes are there for a reason. Something is happening chemically in the body when you feel that your environment is an environment that is trusting and safe, and that you feel like you are authentically you. Again, not a lot of people feel this on a constant basis. So this could be scary. This could also be thrilling. This could also be very comforting, right? And all of those other words in between. So a lot of things happen when this rapport is built. When I say client energy and client emotions, this is where the nitty-gritty happens. Okay? Because a coach has to be prepared to to hear what's next. And oftentimes, since we are in the presence and we're mindful, we're aware in the moment, we're not making expectations. We're not making any type of judgment to the client. We are in this space together. We're aligned. So the coach is following that person. And let's say that dopamine hits and they're just so ecstatic. They're like, wow, my whole life has just opened up before my eyes. I'm awoken. I can see things clearly now. There are others that will resist this change, right? This hit of dopamine. This is not normal for their custom, for what they're used to. And so it's scary. And so they shut down or they start to cry and the coach is there holding their hand. This is their journey. It is not the coach's journey, right? We're here to be that bumper when the bowling ball is going 20 miles per hour. We're the bumper because that person is safe. That person is not going into the gutter. Not here, not in this 25 minutes, 45 minutes, not on our watch. That person is safe. So, what we do here is we kind of depict it. We allow that growth to happen. And when I say growth, that also means growing pains. This change has to happen. These growing pains, that has to happen. And a lot of times we're afraid of that growing pain, that difference in perspective, the reality. We're afraid of it. And then we have to be vulnerable because that's the next step in realizing that what we have been going through has been protecting us. So, client emotions are definitely a thick topic. A lot of things happen in this part when you're coaching. And I want to talk about some of those hormonal changes that could also be a benefit afterwards. As many of you know, a lot of these hormones get released when you move, when something fun happens, when something that feels good to you happens. So, I want to kind of explain the natural chemical reactions that are happening in the brain when you do feel the goodness of your change. To name these, there are four. One is dopamine, two is serotonin, three is oxytocin, and we all know this last one is endorphins. Many of these are stored away when, it's dark and dreary. It's not activated much unless you're moving, and then your body says, whoa, this feels good, right? But all of these are feel good hormones inside of your body that are stored there naturally. You have them. You have the capability to unlock them. When you are physical, these are mainly unlocked then. But when you smell a baby's head, they're unlocked as well. Or when you play with a dog, or when you pet a cat, or when you enjoy something fast or exhilarating. Not only does in dopamine itself help you feel good, but it's also often triggered by something you've eaten and then which activates the insulin to your body and then it, turns into the amino acids to seep into your muscles, which helps you build that protein and it strengthens your bodies, your skeletal system. So that is amazing for people who are going through diabetes right now. And then our bodies are strong, they're powerful, they are capable if you allow them to work with you, if you choose to work your body. Too often we cave into social norms and conditions that are not suitable for this growth. But our bodies are meant to work with us, not against us. And oftentimes in the medicine world, we get that overlapping confusion of pharmaceuticals and lack thereof. your body's chemicals to produce these feel good hormones. And really, in old Western medicine, we were not given the choice. We were just given these pills to feel nothing, basically, to become mentally stable, right? But that was before. But now we're starting to realize this research is coming out that movement, UV lighting, all of these mindfulness exercises, breathing, all of these Eastern medicine is coming into Western medicine, and it's becoming a proven fact that they do help in our mental health, and they do help in our natural state of being to increase these chemicals naturally. So, coaching is very effective for that energy level of clients. This can help you with your overall well being. This can help you in your job ethics, in your work environment, in your home life, with your children, with your spouse. All of these different aspects of hormonal imbalance and unlocking that aha moment in your brain saying, "Holy shit, something just happened to me." Excuse my language. So have fun with your body, have fun with your mind, and experience a little bit of Eastern medicine. Growing pains are as follows. There are different feelings that you can feel in a coaching session. Some of them are exhausted, ins- upset, tense, afraid, vulnerable, embarrassed, hostile, angry, annoyed, upset, disconnected, sad, shocked, pain. And when you are in these states of anger, in these states of negativity, it's not on purpose. It's that it just comes out. But when it's in a constant state in your body where everything you see is negative, everything you feel is negative, there comes a time in your brain where the frontal cortex does not allow for that energy to release, and then it stays stuck in the body. And what happens there is that your brain is no longer able to have that ability to easily learn something new. Because imagine if you are in a coaching session and all of a sudden the coach decides, instead of having that nurturing aspect, decides to, use the opposite effect, which then starts to presume what you're about to say or assume what you're going to say, starts accusing you of something or blaming or asking why questions or giving answers for you, then you start to become defensive. Your then heightened awareness becomes guarded, and not only that, you start to become defensive. You start to become avoidant, and then you feel undermined or less than. That right there, we don't do. On the other hand, that energy that you feel after working through this, let's say you are able to work through it, then that becomes more of a productive coaching relationship where then you are able to make those behavior changes. Your brain is then open and able to make those connections, those synapses are happening. And some of those energy fields could feel like empathy, warmth, affirmation, calm, zest, playful, courageous, and authenticity for yourself. I want to stress here that it is important to acknowledge those negative feelings in a coaching session, and we do that in coaching. If it becomes something that is persistent and it needs professional intervention, then we as coaches are then authorized to have a conversation with you. Would you consider seeing a therapist, psychologist, psychiatrist, counselor, someone licensed to deal with mental health in that way? And that doesn't mean that the coaching has to end. It could be paused until the coach and the psychiatrist or licensed professional converses with me or with the coach, or you can just pause until you're done with that. Or, yes, it does mean that we just stop altogether. This way, you get the professional help that you need and deserve. And then again, it's it doesn't have to be this stigma of always being positive. You can have a balance. That is something that I want to stress. You can have a balance of good and bad, and you can always feel good and you can always feel bad at the same time. You can have all the emotions in one time. It is possible. It's not always cupcakes and rainbows with sprinkles on top. Now, we will talk about a tool that can help you when you're feeling tired. How would that be for you? I cannot tell you how often I go somewhere and yes, I'm tired, but I also have this customer service presentation that I just got accustomed to, and it just follows me everywhere, and I absolutely love it. Call me crazy, call me weird, call me creepy. I don't care because I love it. And honestly, it's contagious. Whenever I smile at someone and ask them, how are they doing? They smile back. And though they say I'm tired, they still smile. And that is enough. That is not the tool I'm here to teach you today. But I'm just saying that oftentimes that's me. That is who I am, like 90% of the time. There's rarely a time where you see me mad or you see me sad or just tired because I don't really show it that often. It helps me to have a smile on my face because it does actually ignite some synapses in my brain that makes me more energized. So I want you to kind of think about a time when you were out, burned out to the max. Like I can think of a time where I was in choir, I was in band, I was at school in high school, I was a junior, so everything was packed. I had midterms to study for, I had all of these papers and exams due, and it was just a lot for my little brain, my 16, 17-year-old brain. And I decided that night, instead of hanging out with my friends, I would just go to sleep at like 7 o'clock at night when I usually would go to sleep at like 9 or 10. So I went to bed. I knocked out, blacked out. I don't even think I had a dream that night. And woke up the next morning and I was so rested. I could think clearly. I don't know, like if I even had breakfast that day. I don't remember, but I was able to think more clearly. I was able to wake up on time to go to school, so I wasn't in a rush. Things were really good. And I'm not here to say that sleep is the tool. No, because obviously we need sleep. And 12 hours is like, wow, ideal. But that's not it either. Now I want you to think about a time where you were so excited to wear your new clothes to school. You were so excited to see your friends after summer break, where you were excited to see who your teachers were. Or think about a time where you were preparing for this really awesome trip. Like your first time at Disney or something and you were just so excited you couldn't even sit still. Can you think about that time? Well, now that you have that time in your head, I want you to harness that. Harness it somewhere, put it on your knuckle, and now you have with your other finger of your other hand, you press that knuckle, and now you have activated that sensation. That is your energy sensation. Whatever you are or were excited about, that energy is still there. You're able to tap into that at any point in time in your life, in your time and at work, or at your time in traffic, or at your time in a boring meeting, crazy dramatic family experience or friend experience, and a boring movie, waiting for the school bus for your kids to come home or to go to school. Tap into that energy source, that knuckle on your other hand, and then with your other hand's finger, press on that knuckle. That is where your energy is activated. Okay? Remembering all the times that you were excited for something, when you were about to have a baby and you're about to meet this beautiful bundle of joy, or when you were about to get a puppy or a pet that you really, really wanted. You can activate that feeling, and don't be ashamed. Do not be ashamed to be happy. Forget about that. Life is going to tell you it's not worth it to be happy. Watch the news, do this, do that. Be on your phone 24/7. Keep scrolling. The artificial intelligence is reading what you like, so it's going to keep putting in what you like. But hello, you're people. You don't have to be conditioned to technology. Activate that knuckle. Activate the energy. You have it within you. Now, tell me if you liked this episode. Leave some comments. If you want to share what your energy is, share it. I want to hear it. I'm so excited that you guys are listening, and thank you so much for being here, so loyal, and to harness the hope that you can offer the world or that you needed today. That's my intention, to just give that to you. So I really hope that you could kind of take some of my energy, because I need it out and you guys need that. So I thank you for your service, and I will talk to you next week. Yo, you did it. You put yourself first and you let healthy happen. Congratulations on choosing that for yourself. Take this energy now that you're feeling onto the entire week. And put down in the comments how you feel after the week is done. I do have 2 invitations for you. The first one is to share this podcast with someone that you feel might need it. And second, head over to my website, YovannaChase.com, and sign up for a free one-on-one virtual experience where you and I navigate together where you are and where you would like to be within the next 3 to 6 months. Let's build a plan and let's get this happening. You deserve to be happy. You deserve to be a well-rounded, a whole life experience. So thank you so much for listening, and I'll talk to you next week.